Good afternoon. It's September 28th, 2024. We're critiquing the news. The article on your screen is from the Cairns Post and it's titled Calls for a Supermarket Payout. The essence of the article is that there's some evidence come out from the ACCC that the two supermarket giants, the oligopoly, have somehow defrauded buyers with deceitful conduct, where they've advertised things as specials, but they first jacked the prices up and then brought them down again to roughly where they were, and that was a deceptive practice under Australian consumer law. And a class action lawyer says that each household, depending on size, who joins the class action may be eligible for up to $2,000 in reparations, I guess, some sort of penalty payout from those supermarket mega corporations. Now, that's fair enough as far as it goes, but one of the reasons we're all so poor is inflation, and inflation is caused by governments directly. The market can't cause inflation. A government must do that. Now, most governments cause inflation by printing money out of thin air, which the US is particularly famous for. The US now has really an extraordinary amount of inflation and an extraordinary amount of debt and unfunded liabilities in its banking system, and that economy looks absolutely certain to crash in a really spectacular manner, unless, of course, they elect Trump and Trump finds a way to turn it around by tapping into the US's vast energy resources. However, in Australia, instead of printing money, what they do is they allow the banks to offer to borrow vast amounts from overseas, and the RBA facilitates that process. And that means that you might have worked for $50 an hour, say 20 years ago. You had a really good paid job. You got $50 an hour, but now your $50, instead of buying you what it would have bought you 20 years ago, will buy you half that, possibly even less, depending on the particular type of goods that you're after. So, if we're talking about deceptive practices and we're taking corporations to task, shouldn't we also have a mechanism to take governments to task? Well, actually we do. We have elections and we get to answer one question. Do you want this branch of the uni party or that branch of the uni party? Because under our preferential two-party preferred preferential system, or preferential voting system, which always comes down to two parties, it's one or the other. But there is a way to break that, and the way to break that is to make enough people aware that it doesn't have to be that way. If we put the Labor Liberal Uni Party and their green and teal comrades at the very bottom of our ballots, and we put the minor parties, the more conservative minor parties, at the top, in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth places, however many options you've got. Like I'm running in Cook, we also have a Katter candidate. I mean, if I lived in Cook, and I don't, I live just over the border, I would vote 1 for One Nation, 2 for Katter, and whichever is the least bad out of the Liberal and Labor Party next, and of course the Green last. If there was an independent that pops up on the ballot sheet, he'd go between Katter and the Liberal or Labor Party, and I would expect in that equation, from a Conservative perspective, then the LNP are going to be slightly better than Labor, because even though they're the slow wing of the same party, it gives us a bit more time to prepare for the inevitable crash that these people are causing, which again gets us back to the same old question. Why are they doing it? Why aren't they implementing our will in accordance with their constitutional obligations? Because they're not working for us. They're not executing our will in accordance with their constitutional obligations. They're doing exactly what the United Nations and the World Economic Forum did. Those aren't Australian organisations. They're supranational, unelected, billionaire-funded foreign organisations. And our politicians have got no business whatsoever implementing their agenda. And that's why we need the ALP, LNP twins out of our parliaments.